Welcome back. This next section is called Unraveling the Mysteries of Color Gamuts. We're going to talk about the types of colors available to use in your color schemes. RGB color on the computer, CMYK colors, and Pantone colors in printing. First, we're going to work on the computer screen. Computers display red, green, and blue light. The little dots on the screen, the pixels, merge together in our eyes to make up colors. Digital cameras, video cameras, smartphones, tablets, and scanners all use the RGB system. The computer screen can display a possible 16.8 million colors. There's an important concept in color theory that will affect every color you try and use. It's called the color gamut. Gamut means range or amount of color. It refers to the number of colors available in the different color systems. There are 3 different color systems: red, green, blue, known as RGB, Pantone, which is inks used in printing, and CMYK, or cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Here is a diagram that explains the different color gamuts. The outer circle represents all the colors possible in the environment, all the colors in the world. The second shape represents all 16.8 million colors that a computer monitor can display. This is the red, green, blue, or RGB gamut. It is the largest group of colors that is technologically possible. The next smallest shape represents the Pantone gamut, all the colors possible with Pantone inks for printing. The smallest group of colors is the CMYK gamut. These are the colors used for printing. CMYK stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. These are ink colors, not light like your computer monitor. These colors are used on professional printing presses to print full-color brochures and magazines. They are also the ink cartridges in your home printer. When you run out of ink and change a cartridge, you are putting in either cyan, magenta, yellow, or black ink. These 4 colors are mixed together in different percentages so that they create a full color image. Coming off the end of the press is the composited image made of the 4 ink colors: cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. This station on the press applies the first color, yellow. This one applies the second color, magenta. The third station applies cyan, and the last station applies black. Then the final full color image comes out of the end. The total number of colors that can be printed with CMYK is about 100,000 colors. This is a fraction of the colors available on a color monitor, 16.8 million. Only 1/2 of 1% of the colors showing on your monitor can actually be printed. See how much smaller the CMYK gamut is? It's actually little spots inside that circle, not every color. This means you can't possibly print the colors you are creating on your monitor. They will never match because one is light and one is ink. Let me repeat this because everybody forgets it. The colors on your monitor are never going to match what comes out of your printer. Your monitor is only an approximation of what you're going to print. This diagram approximates the shift in color you will experience between the monitor and the printed product. All software programs just pick the nearest CMYK color that they can print and substitute the color. This is why you have to do a lot of test printouts every time you want to get a specific color in print. CMYK colors are much duller. They are not as vivid as RGB colors on the monitor. This diagram explains what happens when you try and print a document that was created on the screen in RGB. The inside triangle represents the RGB gamut. The small blue triangle represents the CMYK gamut. The programs dump colors that they can't print and substitute the ones that they can. And then black is added to make the colors more vivid. Adobe Photoshop has a warning sign that it can't print a color. Selecting a color puts it in the current color box. Double-clicking on the current color brings up the color picker. This little symbol, the triangle with an exclamation point in it, indicates that you've selected a color that can't be printed. You can use it on the monitor, but you can't print it. Move the color around in Photoshop until you find a color that can be printed. Then write down the CMYK value of that color that can be printed on a piece of paper. Then go to other Adobe programs and type in the color formula of a color that can be printed. That is as close as you can get to having what is on the screen match what it comes out of the printer. How nice it would be if every Adobe program did this, but they don't. That's very unfortunate. Maybe in the future it will. You can choose your colors off of a Pantone bridge book where you can see the colors in print. It takes the Pantone colors and shows the nearest approximation possible in CMYK. Always choose your colors from a print book if you want the screen to match your printout. In general, really intense, saturated RGB colors can't be printed. Most graphic programs, Adobe and everybody else, adjust the color to the nearest color that can be printed. Many colors that exist only on computer screens. Video is in RGB, but it doesn't even display a full color range. Remember, most really bright RGB colors can't be printed and can be only viewed on your computer screen. The hexadecimal system is a 6-digit number for displaying RGB colors on the web and is commonly used for coding websites. The hex system creates the exact same colors as the RGB system. In hex, the first two numbers represent the amount of red, the second two represent green, and the last two represent blue. These are the same colors as RGB. It's just a different way of referring to the colors that can be used in coding websites. So, the very first decision you make when you open a new file is to determine what the end product will be. Ask yourself, am I doing this to be printed, or am I doing something that will be seen only on a computer screen? All Adobe programs ask you to set the color mode when you open a new document. In Illustrator, you choose between RGB and CMYK. In InDesign, you choose the intent of the piece to set the color mode. There are 3 choices: print, web, and digital publishing. Both web and digital publishing are RGB formats. Print is a CMYK format. In Photoshop, in the new document dialog box, there are quite a few choices. The color mode has to be either set to RGB or CMYK. There are other choices for very particular functions in Photoshop, like editing black and white photographs. So choose between RGB for web and CMYK for print. There is another gamut, the colors represented by the Pantone matching system. The Pantone system is a set of inks used in printing. Special pigments are used that expand the number of colors that can be printed. This adds another 5,000 or so colors to what can be printed. These are the Pantone colors of the year, dating back to the year 2000. Pantone chooses one color every year that is supposed to represent the world's social and economic environment in a single color. There are also Pantone metallic inks, pastel inks, and neon inks. Pantone inks are precise mixes of ink done by the printer according to a formula guide. You see the printer here mixing ink. Some Pantone books show designers how to simulate the Pantone colors in either RGB or CMYK. A very large percentage of the Pantone colors cannot be replicated in CMYK, but some can. This makes it difficult to match the colors on the screen. You always have to be looking at the swatch book to put a color palette together if you want it to print out correctly and you are using the Pantone system. Okay, let's review these concepts. We talked about the RGB, CMYK, and Pantone color gamuts and the range of colors available in each. The largest number of colors is in RGB with 16.8 million colors available only on computer screens and mobile devices. The next largest group is CMYK, 100,000 colors, which is used in printing. The smallest group of colors is Pantone inks, with only about 5,000 ink colors. Since Pantone has CMYK inks, it can create the entire CMYK gamut too. Next, we are going to talk about some of the professional tools on the market, such as software and books.